Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Today's show, I got 9 free agent cornerbacks that I want the Raiders to target. Plus, I'm going to tell you how much I think it's going to cost the Raiders to go out and sign these free agent cornerbacks. So, what's the bigger need for the Raiders? Corner or safety? Let me know in the comments. Cornerback or safety? I think both of these are a big need in the secondary. For me, though, I am typing my CB. I think that corner is a major need. Now, when I look at how much money that the Raiders have, they're about 11th right now in cap space. They got about $54.7 million. The league average is $41.9. The Raiders have some money. The Raiders have a need at cornerback. I'm looking at all the comments right now. I think we can go out and we can get a good corner. Heck, we might even be able to go out and get an elite corner. Because when I look at what our depth chart looks like right now, we still need some help. Now, Jonathan Abram, he was hurt. Are the Raiders going to re-sign Carl Joseph? Daryl Worley, Trayvon Mullen, I think can hold it down at cornerback. We got to figure out what we got in LaMarcus Joyner. Now, our defensive backfield, when fully healthy and going out and adding another piece, we can be a lot better. But today's show is all about this question and this question only. Heck, it's not even a question, it's a comment. I want you to name a free agent the Raiders should sign. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube, you might get hit with an ad break. So I want you to scroll on down. I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's video, okay? Name a free agent that the Raiders should sign. Then, when you're scrolling back up to watch the video, I want you to click subscribe. So I need 2,300 new subscribers by March. By March. My goal in February was to get 40K subscribers. So click that big red button. And if you're one of these new subscribers that need to get a picture, Xavier, 60, Mr. S Pride, and then Icehole, go tell your friends that you subscribe to the Raiders Report, youtube.com/Raiders Report. Let's get in now to my top 9 free agent targets at the cornerback position. First guy, it's Mackensie Alexander. Now, I don't really know if he has a major weakness or a major strength. I think he just kind of does everything a little bit average, and I would say that he's reliable, consistent. And I think what the Raiders need right now is a reliable, consistent cornerback. Now, I told you what I think each player would get. I think Mackenzie's going to get probably a 3-year contract. I would probably guess between $4 to $5 million per year. And remember, I'm going to give you 9 names. After every single player that I give, I want you to tell me if you like him or not. So give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no. Let's go to number 8 on my list here. We got Bradley Roby. So last season, Roby made about $10 million, okay? The one thing that I like about Roby is he can cover speedy wide receivers, which obviously is something that the Raiders need to be able to do because they're going to look at the Kansas City Chiefs and they're like, man, they got this Tyreek Hill guy. He's pretty fast. Bradley Roby, I think, could cover him better than most cornerbacks cover Tyreek Hill. I don't know if anybody can cover Tyreek Hill. But the fact that he ran a 4.3, he's quick, he can move. I personally expect Bradley Roby to get about a 5-year contract. I would say probably going to get about $11 to $12 million per year. So I talked about Mackensie Alexander, and I talked about Bradley Roby. I'm going to show you their 2019 stats, okay? I want you to pick one. That's what this show's about. It's the live interaction, and I want you to pick one. So if you would rather have Roby, I want you to type R. If you would rather have Alexander, I want you to type A. We will get into some more players. Also, the way that I did this, I based it off of talent, what it would cost, and I think how well they would fit our scheme. That's how I base these rankings off. So give me an R for Roby, or I want you to give me an A for Alexander. Today's sponsor, it's BetDSI, the internet's #1 sports book. If you want to go bet this offseason on NBA games, if you want to bet on the XFL, if you want to bet on NFL draft prop bets, you can do it at BetDSI. Heck, if you want to bet on cricket, you can do that. Chatsports.com/bet, but get the free money. Get the free money. Use the promo Raiders120. It gets you 120% deposit bonus. Let's jump in now to the number 7 player on my list. And I think that some people might get mad at me for this ranking. It's Trae Waynes. So, talent, no doubt. 4.3 speed, obviously says that. He's a consistent corner. But for me, he needs to improve in the passing game. And when I watch Trae Waynes, he gets burnt way too often. What is the one thing that I think we all saw way too much this year? Our cornerbacks, our safeties getting burnt way too often. Now, over the last 4 years, Waynes gave up 16 touchdowns. Okay? Again, you're looking at a player who's talented. But when I'm thinking about the big plays that he's going to give up, that scares me a little bit. And then I think, okay, he's probably going to get a 3-year contract, maybe $9 to $10 million a year. That's why he's 7 on my list. Let's go to number 6, Brian Poole. I like Brian Poole a lot. Coming off a career year, which I actually think is very important for players when they come off a career year, because I think, you could look at them getting better, hopefully. But for those of you that will say that do like PFF, he did have an 80 coverage grade, which is very, very good. And after a solid year, I think the question for me is how good is Poole, right? And I think a lot of people are going to wonder the exact same thing. How good is Brian Poole? Now, I expect him to get about 7 to 8 million per year. Now, I don't know if he's as talented, let's say, as a Trae Waynes, but when I think about what we could get him as, and when I think about how he could fit our defense, I like Brian Poole. But I'm going to ask you guys this question, as I'm going to do it for several other players on today's show. I want you to pick between Trae Waynes or Brian Poole. So type P for Poole, type W for Waynes. So in 2019, Waynes had 58 tackles to Poole's 59. Forced fumbles, basically the same. Interceptions the same. Pass breakups favor Waynes. So why do I like Brian Poole? I'm going to type my P for Poole for this reason, because I think he's a little bit better in coverage. Better a little bit in coverage in the nickel. You'll see here in a little bit what players that I really want to kind of bump back LaMarcus Joyner. But I want you guys to let me know who you guys would go with. P for Poole, W for Waynes. I'll give my shout-outs now. Somebody said Charles is going to go W. Jeff Rogers says Waynes. Jay Dizzle for Shizzle says Poole. Andy Martinez says Poole. Henry Wallace is going to go Poole. Jacob Serb. Jim Manzik is going to go Waynes. Somebody said Poole sucks. Hey, it's cool. Let me know your comments. All right, let's get in now to my top 5 Raiders, or cornerbacks that the Raiders should target in free agency. The number 5 is Kendall Fuller. Now, I like Fuller, okay? In 2017, I think that you could argue that Fuller was one of the best defenders in the NFL. And then the Chiefs moved him to safety, where I think everything kind of fell apart. Let me say that again. You have a cornerback, you move him to safety, everything kind of fell apart. To me, it sounds a lot like LaMarcus Joyner, okay? The reason why I am interested in bringing in Kendall Fuller, because I think that Fuller's going to be like, man, I can sign a 1-year contract because I want to prove myself that I can get back to 2017. So my idea for Kendall Fuller is doing this. Why don't we, who we paid a lot of money for LaMarcus Joyner, put him back at safety, where he was very good with the Rams, and then watch this crazy idea, take Fuller, who was really good in the nickel, arguably the best nickel cornerback in the NFL in 2017, and put him at nickel. Like, that's the idea that I want here. Now, I get it. He's struggled the last 2 seasons, but if we can get 2017 Fuller, we're going to Vegas. We got to roll the dice once in a while. And if this one hits and Joyner can play up to his level and Fuller can play up to his level, I'm telling y'all right now, you're going to absolutely love it. You're also going to love this deal. Well, your loved ones will love this deal. Go show them that you care this Valentine's season. It's right around the corner. Chatsports.com/flowers. We got 15% off all flowers, gifts, cookies, snacks, anything that you possibly want on Valentine's Day. Pro Flowers is hooking us up with an unbelievable deal, and I want you guys, okay, to show your loved ones that you care. Because at any moment, things can change very, very quickly. So go to chatsports.com/flowers. 50% off all gifts and all flowers. And if you want to come on the show, how about this? If anybody goes and gets this deal, send me a picture, put on your Raiders gear. I'll put you on the show, live show next week. Let's go to number 4 on my list, Logan Ryan. Now, I expect Ryan to make about $11 million, I would say, per year. Okay, he's probably going to get a 3-year contract. He's getting up there a little bit in age, and I think from a talent standpoint alone, Ryan is great. But I think at this point in his career, he's probably a little bit better at stopping the run. Okay? Probably a little bit better at stopping the run. And not that the Raiders don't need that, but the cornerbacks that I'm really focusing on are slowing down receivers. Because the Raiders got absolutely roasted, and I shouldn't even say just last year, the last 2 years under Paul Guenther. Now, maybe it's Paul Guenther, right? Maybe it's Paul Guenther. Crazy idea. But Logan Ryan, to me, the reason why I like him is because he could come in, and I think he could be a leader on that defense. He could help change the culture. And yes, I want the Raiders to go a little bit younger, but Logan Ryan is not that old, and he could help build a defense and help teach a lot of these younger players, I think, how to be professionals, which is a very, very important quality. Let's go to number 3 on my list. It's James Bradberry. Now, Bradberry had a great year. And if I had to make a prediction on where I think Bradberry is going to go, personally, I think he's going to go to the Washington Redskins. I think he's going to team back up with Ron Rivera. He has said numerous times that he would like the idea of pairing back up with Ron Rivera, a coach that believed in him at the Carolina Panthers. And Bradberry is going to get paid. And it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if the Washington Redskins and Ron Rivera are like, how much you want? We'll give you a little bit extra. Okay? And I expect him to get about a 5-year contract, $13, $14 million a year. He was the best cornerback on the Carolina Panthers this past year. And even though he didn't, let's say, like light up the stat sheet, like you'll see here with Logan Ryan, people didn't really want to throw to him because he was the best defender the Carolina Panthers had. And sure, that might not have been saying much. They need a lot of help on defense, but a very, very talented cornerback who's going to get paid, and I think he's going to ultimately end up with the Redskins. But the show, again, not about me. It's about y'all. I want you to pick one. Logan Ryan or James Bradberry. So type L for Logan Ryan, or I want you to type your J for James Bradberry. I think you're getting two very, very different types of players. I have Bradberry ranked higher than Ryan, where, honestly, from just a talent standpoint alone, you might be able to argue Ryan's better, but I think James Bradberry fits what the Raiders need a lot more, which is why I have him ranked higher. Now, the top 2 cornerbacks to target for me, I don't even know if it's that close, right? I think you got all these players, and then the top 2, they're in a class of their own. Number 2 on my list, it's Chris Harris. I love Chris Harris a lot. I think, obviously, he's kind of hurt the Raiders for a very, very long time, especially Derek. Now, Harris played outside cornerback this past season, and personally, I think he would be another option where I would love to put him back in the slot. Chris had a good year this past season with the Broncos, but when Harris was elite, when the Broncos were the no-fly zone, is when Harris was playing out of the slot. So kind of like how I said with Kendall Fuller, I would actually love for the Raiders to go out and get Chris Harris, who I think you could get a 2-year contract where, yeah, you're probably going to have to pay him like maybe $12, $13 million a year. But at 30 years old, I'm okay with that. Now, you move LaMarcus Joyner back to strong safety, where he was better. You can put Harrison nickel, and now you can hopefully rely on Worley and Trayvon Mullen and hold down cornerback 1, cornerback 2. Now, also, you could look at getting a cornerback in the draft. The more and more mock drafts I see, the more and more drafts I do myself, I'm okay with the Raiders going out and drafting a cornerback at pick 19. Let me rephrase that. Cornerback at 19. So that's why I like the idea of going out and getting like a nickel corner like Chris Harris. Number 1 on my list, it's Byron Jones. And for those of you that have watched the show before, this should not really surprise any of you, because Byron Jones is my number 1 top corner I think the Raiders need to target in general. Now, if you're a person that just looks at box scores, if you're a person that just looks at stats, you might not like Jones. People didn't throw at Jones because he was just locking people up. Okay? I know some people are like, oh, Mitch, he didn't have an interception. I don't care. People weren't catching the football. That's important the last time I checked. And yes, you're going to have to pay Byron a lot of money. I think he's going to get a 5-year, $15, $16 million deal. But he deserves it. He's right now the best cornerback out on the market. And personally, I think the Cowboys would be very dumb to let him go out and walk. But hey, that's just me. So we got Chris Harris and we got Byron Jones. I want you to pick. So type C for Chris Harris or type B for Byron Jones. Let me know in the comments section. Okay? Somebody said, let's go get BJ. I'm actually impressed that YouTube's not blocking that. So good job, YouTube. Seeing a lot of B's roll in here. If you want to put BJ, whatever, do your thing. Chris Harris is a great corner. I get it. But I agree with a lot of y'all. You got to go out and get the younger guy. You got to go out and get the player who I think really, really helps us finally get that number 1 lockdown corner. Now, yes, I don't think that he's going to be a Charles Woodson or a... you know what? He might be a Nnamdi Asomugha. He doesn't have as many picks, but he can still lock people down. Byron Jones is the player that I like, and he's number 1 on my list for a reason. So if you guys watched until the end of the video, I want you to DM me on Instagram, CB, okay? That's going to show me that you watched until the end of my cornerback episode. So hit me up on Instagram, give me a follow, and if there's a cornerback that I didn't mention that you wanted me to start mentioning more, DM me his name at Mitchell Renz 365. Raider Nation, what's going on? Is this the #1 Raiders channel on YouTube? For Chucky Heads, believe it, baby. And if you haven't already, subscribe right here. I'm giving you Chucky Heads, news, rumors, Raider Nation rumors. And look at this, I'm making your life easier. Check out my next video. Thanks for watching, and go Raiders.